Last June, 19 firefighters died while battling a 500-acre fire in central Arizona. While investigators try to piece together the mystery of what went wrong, the Yarnell Hill Fire has become emblematic of just how powerful and unpredictable wildfires have become in the United States. There seems to have been some level of shift between how we think about firefighting techniques, and even the sort of ideologies around when fires should be put out and how they should be put out. Those shifts seem to have occurred over the past few decades. We don't do it now the way we used to. Is that a fair assessment?
Well, yes and no. I think the modern era really begins in 1910 following a catastrophic wave of fires in the Northern Rockies. 78 firefighters died in one afternoon. And that really shocked the system. We spent the next 50 years trying to put out all fires. That failed. We've spent the last 50 years trying to find some way to put it back in. And in fact, the restoration project is working in the sense that fires are coming back. They're just not coming back in the way we want or the kind we want. And I think now the sense I read out of most of the fire community is that we've lost control of it. We're not going to get ahead of it. We can protect particular communities, particular assets, but otherwise we're really moving from restoration to resilience. How are we going to survive the stuff that's coming at us? Because we're not going to be able to be proactive enough to get ahead of it.
Michael, I want to talk about another thing here, and that is climate change. The conversations about global warming, the conversations about climate change, they seem to impact. I'll give you an example. I was looking here at 120 degrees in Prescott, Arizona. The temperature was when the Yarnell Hill Fire was started. Stuff like that has to matter, right?
Yeah, it matters a great deal, and on a number of different levels. One impact here in Colorado, where I live, and also in Arizona and many other western areas, is that snowpack melts off much earlier in the year. Many areas are getting less snow during the winter, and when the temperatures warm up, that snow vanishes much earlier in the year than it used to. That snowpack up on the top of mountains is kind of like a trickle irrigation system for forests. And so a lot of the fires that we've seen here in Colorado, and keep in mind, we, as of last year, had broken our most destructive fire record in Colorado 4 times in 4 years. And we are seeing fires in March when normally we'd have a lot of snow on the ground. We had a fire in 2012 that was dealing with the problem we just discussed about overgrown forests, where we reintroduced fire. The Colorado Forest Service reintroduced fire in an area that normally would be safe to do that in March, and instead they lost control of that prescribed burn. It destroyed 23 homes and killed 3 people in the neighborhood adjacent to the area they were trying to fix. So climate presents a lot of dangers in that regard. We're seeing really unusual fires right now in California, and globally we're seeing this. Australia just had a series of very destructive fires, and also just had their hottest year on record last year. Predicting what climate is going to do to fire is an incredibly difficult science, but there definitely seems to be changes in the fire regimes of areas where we will see an increase in fire. And one aspect of it that's a little counterintuitive, if you look at climate models, we're looking at areas that are going to get drier and hotter, and you would expect to have more fire there. Indeed. We're also looking at some areas that are going to get wetter, and among some of those areas that are going to get wetter, there's also an anticipation that we might get more fire, because if you're in an area that is normally pretty dry and you get what they call a precipitation pulse as the climate changes, that can drive a green up, a lot more vegetation in that landscape. And when that landscape returns to a drier condition, then you have more fuel to burn in the fires that might ignite there.